Inshallah, today we'll be learning about the rightly guided Khalifas, or Khulafah Ar Rashidun. On the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah, Rasulullah left her men and stayed there till the morning of the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. Then he moved until he reached Arafat, where there was a tent built for him at Namira. He sat inside till the sun went down from his peak. He ordered that his camel be prepared for him. They saddled and had it ready. So he went down the valley where 124 or 44,000 people were gathered around him. There he stood and delivered the following speech. O people, lend me an attentive ear, for I know not whether after this year I shall ever be amongst you again. Therefore, listen to what I am saying to you very carefully, and take these words to those who cannot be present here today. O people, just as you regard this month, this day, this city as sacred, so regard the life and property of every Muslim as a sacred trust. Return the goods entrusted to you to their rightful owners. Hurt no one, so that no one may hurt you. Remember that you will indeed meet your Lord, and that He will indeed reckon your deeds. Allah has forbidden you to take usury interest, therefore all interest obligations shall henceforth be waived. Your capital, however, is yours to keep. You will neither inflict nor suffer any inequality. Allah has judged that there shall be no interest, and that all interest due to Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib shall henceforth be waived. Beware of Shaitan for the safety of your religion. He has lost all hope that he will ever be able to lead you astray in big things, so beware following him in small things. O people, it is true that you have certain rights with regard to your women, but they also have rights over you. Remember that you have taken them as your wives only under Allah's trust and with His permission. If they abide by your right, then to them belongs the right to be fed and clothed in kindness. Do treat your women well, and be kind to them, for they are your partners and committed helpers. And it is your right that they do not make friends with anyone of whom you do not approve, as well as to never be unchaste. O people, listen to me in earnest. Worship Allah. Say 5 daily prayers. Fast during the month of Ramadan. Give your wealth in zakat. Perform Hajj if you can afford to. All mankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab has any superiority over an Arab. Also, a white has no superiority over a black, nor a black has any superiority over a white, except by piety, taqwa, and good actions. Learn that every Muslim is a brother to every Muslim, and that the Muslim constitutes one brotherhood. Nothing shall be legitimate to a Muslim which belongs to a fellow Muslim, unless it was given freely and willingly. Do not, therefore, do injustice to yourselves. Remember, one day you will appear before Allah and answer your deeds. So beware, do not stray from the path of righteousness after I am gone. O people, no prophet or apostle will come after me, and no new faith will be born. Reason well, therefore, O people. Understand which words which I convey to you. I leave behind me 2 things, the Quran and my example, the Sunnah, and if you follow these, you will never go astray. All those who listen to me shall pass on my words to others, and those to others again, and may the last ones understand my words better than those who listen to me directly. Be my witness, O Allah, that I have conveyed your message to your people. As soon as the Prophet ﷺ finished delivering this speech, this verse was revealed. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. This day I have perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you as Islam as your religion. The start of the illness. On the 29th day of Safar, in 11th year of Hijrah, the Prophet ﷺ participated in the funeral rites in Al-Baqi. On the way back, he had a headache, and his temperature rose so high that the heat effect could be felt over his headband. He continued to lead the Muslims in Salah for 11 days, even though he was sick. The total number of days he suffered from the illness was either 13 or 14. 4 days before his death, Rasulullah ﷺ grew so sick he could not overcome the strains of disease or go out to enter the masjid. Aisha radhiallahu anha narrated, the Prophet ﷺ asked, "Have the people performed the prayer?" She said, "No, they haven't. They're waiting for you. Put some water in washing pots," he said. We did as what he ordered. He washed and wanted to stand up, but he fainted. When he recovered, he asked again, "Have the people prayed?" Then the same sequence of events took place 3 more times. So he sent a message to Abu Bakr anhu to lead the prayer. 3 or 4 times Aisha talked to the Prophet ﷺ to excuse Abu Bakr from leading the salat due to his gentleness, but he refused and said, "You are like the woman of Yusuf. Convey my message to Abu Bakr to lead the prayer." The last day of Rasulullah ﷺ. In narration by Anas bin Malik, he said, while the Muslims were performing the Fajr prayer on Monday, led by Abu Bakr, they were surprised to see Allah's Messenger ﷺ reading the curtains of Aisha's room. He looked at them while they were praying, aligned properly, and smiled cheerfully. Seeing him, Abu Bakr withdrew to join the lines and gave way to him to lead the prayer. for he thought that the Prophet ﷺ wanted to come for the prayer. Anas who said, the Muslims who were praying were so delighted that they were almost taken away from their prayers. Allah's Messenger ﷺ gestured to continue their prayer, went to the room, and drew down the curtains. Allah's Messenger ﷺ was not alive for the next prayer. His death. When the pangs of death started, Aisha anha leaned him against her. She used to say, one of Allah's favors to me was that Allah's Messenger ﷺ died in my house. While I was still alive, he died between my chest and neck while he was leaning against me. Allah has mixed his saliva with mine in his death. For Abdurrahman bin Abu Bakr came in with his siwak in his hand while I was leaning Allah's Messenger ﷺ against me. I noticed he was looking at the siwak, so I asked, for I knew that he wanted it, would you like me to take it for you? He nodded, so I took it and gave it to him. As it was too hard for him, I asked, shall I soften it for you? He nodded, so I softened it with my saliva, and he brushed his teeth as well as he could. There was a water pot available at his hand with some water in it. He put his hand in it and wiped his face with it and said, there is no God but Allah. Death is full of agonies. So as soon as he had finished brushing his teeth, he raised his hand or his finger up, looked upwards to the ceiling, moved his lips. So Aisha had listened to him. She heard him say, with those on whom you have bestowed your grace, with the prophets and the truthful ones, the martyrs and the good doers. O Allah, forgive me and have mercy upon me, and join me to the exalted companionship on high. Then he repeated the last words 3 times, to the exalted companionship on high. At the same time, his hands came down, and he joined the most exalted companionship on high. The news was soon known by everybody in Medina. Dark grief spread on all areas and horizons of Medina. Anas who said, I have never seen a day better or brighter than the day on which Allah's Messenger ﷺ came to us. I have never witnessed a more awful or darker day than that on which Allah's Messenger ﷺ died. When he died, Fatima said, O Father, who's responded to the call of his Lord. O Father, whose abode is paradise. O Father, I announce your death to Jibreel. Umar who was so stunned that he almost lost consciousness, and he stood before the people and addressed them. Some of the hypocrites claimed that Allah's Messenger ﷺ died. Allah's Messenger ﷺ did not die, but went to his Lord in the same way as Musa bin Imran did. He stayed there for 40 nights, but finally came back, though they said he had died. By Allah, Allah's Messenger will come back, and he will cut off the hands and legs of those who claim his death. He said. Abu Bakr who left his house at Sunnah and came forth to the masjid on horseback. At the masjid he dismounted and entered. He talked to nobody but went on until he entered Aisha's room and went directly to where Allah's Messenger ﷺ was. The Prophet ﷺ was covered with a Yemeni mantle. He uncovered his face, leaned over, kissed him and cried. Then he said, I sacrificed my mother and father for your sake. Verily, Allah will not cause you to die twice. You just experienced the death that Allah ordained. Then he went out and found Umar talking to the people. He said, Umar, be seated. But Umar refused to do so. So the people left Umar and came towards Abu Bakr, who started his speech, saying, O people, if anyone worships Muhammad, know that Muhammad is dead. If anyone worships Allah, know that Allah is alive, and He never dies. Then he recited verse 144 from Surah Al-Imran. وما محمد إلا رسول قد خلت من قبله رسول أفإن مات وقتل انقلبتم على أعقابكم ومن ينقلب على عاقبه فلن يضر الله شيئا وسيجزي الله الشاكرين. Muhammad is no more than a messenger, and indeed many messengers have passed away before him. If he dies or is killed, will you then turn back on your heels as disbelievers? And he who turns back on his heels, not the least harm, will he do to Allah, and Allah will give reward to those who are grateful. Ibn Abbas anhu said, by Allah, if it was as if the people had never heard this Quranic verse till Abu Bakr recited it as a reminder. So the people started reciting it till there was no man who did not recite it. Ibn Musayyib said that Umar had said, by Allah, as soon as I heard Abu Bakr say it, I fell down to the ground. I felt as if my legs had been unable to carry me, so that I collapsed when I heard him say it. Only then did I realize that Muhammad ﷺ had really died. Appointing a new leader. As soon as the news about the death of Rasulullah ﷺ spread, Muslims became shocked and worried. They were shocked because they loved him very much. They were worried about the future of the Muslim Ummah. Now there was no leader. After the death of Rasulullah, they knew that the guidance to mankind was complete, and they had the responsibility to carry on the message. Some Ansar got together at the council hall of Banu Sa'ida to discuss this matter. When Abu Bakr and Umar heard about the gathering, they quickly went to it, fearing a decision that might cause confusion and division in the Ummah. In the meantime, some other leaders from the Muhajirun and Quraysh arrived there also. They found everyone discussing the succession to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Ansar said, "The new leader should come from among us. We are the original inhabitants of Medina, and we protected Rasulullah ﷺ and offered him refuge." Others from Mecca argued, "Only a member of Quraysh deserves to be the leader of the Ummah. They were the first to accept Islam and have suffered and sacrificed most for the sake of Islam." It seems there was going to be a terrible division in the Ummah. Abu Bakr got up and said, "All the good things that the Ansar have said about themselves are well deserved, but the Arabs will only recognize the authority of the clan of Quraysh. Offer you one of these two men, either accept either of them as you please." He then took the hands of Umar and Abu Ubayd ibn al-Jarrah and offered these to the people for their bay'ah. The people did not accept this. One of the Ansar then suggested that there be two leaders, one from the Muhajirun, one from the Ansar. Others reacted sharply to this, saying it would divide the Ummah. Umar suddenly said, "O Abu Bakr, how can anyone else fill this office as long as you are alive? You are the most prominent of the Muhajirun. You are the companion of the Rasulullah in the cave of Thawr. You led the Salat during the last days of his life. Hold out your hand so that I may give you my allegiance to you." Umar who took the initiative, gave him the bay'ah by taking his hand in his own and pledging his loyalty. The people gathered in the hall and realized the wisdom of Umar's words and actions and followed him in giving the bay'ah. Many of them then realized that, in fact, the Prophet ﷺ had himself given many signs that Abu Bakr was his own choice. The next day, Abu Bakr sat before his people in the masjid to take the general bay'ah. Umar got up first and said, "O people, yesterday I said something which I did not find in Allah's book, nor was it something which Rasulullah entrusted to me. But I thought that Rasulullah would order our affairs until he was the last of us alive. This is why I could not believe he had died. Allah has left his book with you, by which he guided his Prophet, and if you hold fast to that, Allah will guide you as he guided the Prophet. Allah has placed your affairs in the hand of the best among you, the companion of the Prophet, the second of the two when they were in the cave. So arise and pledge allegiance to him." All of the people of Medina pledged their allegiance. Then Abu Bakr rose, praised Allah, and said, "O Muslims, I have been given authority over you, and I am not the best of you. If you do well, help me, and if I do wrong, set me right. Loyalty is to tell the truth to a leader. Treason is to hide it. The weak among you will be powerful in my eyes until I secure his rights, if Allah so wills. The strong among you shall be weak in my eyes until I get the rights from him. If people do not follow in the way of Allah, he will disgrace them. If people become wicked, Allah will bring punishment on us all. Obey me as long as I obey Allah and his Prophet. And if I disobey them, you owe me no obedience. Let us now rise for Salat, and may Allah have mercy on us all." Inshallah, we will continue in the next video. Subscribe to watch more videos, and that's the end. Ma'asalam, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam.